Hello everyone, I'm Berna and I'm the elementary and middle school counsellor at ISS International School. Today I'm talking to Miss Veronica Mckibbin, counsellor at SACAC Counselling, specializing to counseling young children, adolescents and their families. She's a part of a large team at SACAC with over 20 professionals, psychologists, counselors, educational supports, as well as nutritionists. They are all working very hard to continue to support our students, families, and us school counselors during this current pandemic. Hi, Veronica, and welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Today, our focus is on elementary and middle school community who have been struggling with balancing home and school life at the same time in this new normal. I understand that your team is continuing to work with many students and their families. So what are some of the challenges right now for younger students and their families?
Yeah, something that I'm reflecting a lot on is the huge variability in people's experiences. There's really no way to generalize the range of experiences. It can be from a real sense of safety and respite for some people. There's a bunkering down that feels quite safe, to the other end of the spectrum where there can be a complete sense of isolation and despair. And then obviously everything in between. Some parents are very concerned about what their child might be missing academically, and they're torn between their own work and other children's needs potentially. There may be some experiencing tremendous guilt that they simply cannot be their children's teacher all day, every day. There's such a difference in individual circumstances, the physical space that they have available to them, financial pressures, individual child and family dynamics, health or extended family concerns. This list could go on. And for this reason, I think it's immensely important for each family to find their own sense of what's helpful for them, what is nurturing for their family, and then they prioritize their own needs and their own family's needs. There's just simply no yardstick to measure against in this time. No comparisons about what is helpful or possible between one family and another.
Absolutely agree with you, Veronica, on that. But now that we have completed 4 weeks of home-based learning, some families are getting used to the routines, while others are obviously struggling to keep the demands of their own work as well as their own children's learning. So what do you recommend to our parents with young children to regain some sense of control at this time and reduce the tension at home a little?
Yeah, I'm aware that for some parents who may be experiencing immense pressure to have a household running to a tight schedule, and for some there might be a real peace in this, that at least they're able to control what's happening at home, lest there's little else they can control outside of this. And this may work beautifully for some families. They may have the home learning under control and everyone's thoroughly enjoying this slower pace and time together. I am a bit reluctant to add to the burden of families where things are not quite so smoothly. So I want to offer this as gently as I can. And I want to encourage families to observe really first and trust their own children and trust themselves, that they can find the rhythms that work in their particular day and their unique family. So I'm offering this quite gently, but generally, I have been encouraging people to find a way to hold on tight and protect the routines that nourish them and nourish their children. I know physical exercise outside is challenging, but this is something that would be really valuable to hold on to if we can. Perhaps we need to split up or take one adult, one child, or one adult and 2 children and get out and run and play and scoot or bike ride every single day. Being in nature is crucial to our mental health, and adults need this time to play as much as children. If it's not possible to go outside, even wearing a mask, adhering to good social distancing, then find a way to move at home. Perhaps we can jump and laugh and play inside. We can play tag, crawl, hop, star jump, anything. Set a path and record your time. Be as creative and protective of this movement and this joy as you can. I would also encourage people to hold on tight to other routines or things that were important in their family before this. Things that are protective of close relationships. So does your family have a games night, a movie night, a picnic night? Does your family generally limit recreational screen time to only certain days of the week? And if so, remember why you did that. Remember why you found these things to be nurturing and sustaining to your family, and protect that. So as much as a human species and brain, we really need routine and structure, we also really crave novelty. And so trying to balance these two things is important. So I've noticed a theme in children that I've spoken to, that they're really developing this sense of inviting their parents into their world, that they want their family to have more fun, to play with them. Siblings are connecting in a way that maybe they never have for a very long time. And so children have a lot of knowledge about how to bring this novelty and fun into the family life. I've heard about families having dinner in the dark, dinner under the table, dinner coming dressed as somebody else, or dinner with dessert first. You get the idea.
Absolutely. Those were some fantastic ideas, which I myself plan to apply and see how it works in my own home. Thank you so much. So, Veronica, do you have any tips for our parents looking after their own well-being and trying to keep things in perspective?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think keeping things in perspective is going to be different depending on each family's circumstances. Some families are facing significant and imminent financial pressures. Many have lost jobs and far more are taking pay cuts or facing job insecurity. They may have real worries about family members in other countries, or even lost family members. If not from COVID-19, then maybe it might trigger a trauma of a lost one more recently. So caring for themselves is about developing a sense of empathy for themselves and for their children. Things are not operation normal for many families and children. This is a time of increased stress. There may be a lot of unspoken concerns that children haven't been able to even articulate to themselves yet. We don't know when children are going to be returning to schools. We don't know when they're going to be able to see their friends. And for a lot of children, they may even need to leave Singapore and not be able to have the farewell rituals with their friends. However, what we do know is that this is a season of change. This is truly a unique situation, and it will not go on forever. When we speak with children, and when parents speak with themselves, their own self-talk, I would really encourage them to try and trust, and to try to speak from a place of hope. Trust that their children have all the things they need. They are loved and cared for by their parents, by their school, and by their community as a whole. Trust that there may be gaps in what they've learned from if they were at school, but that schools are there to find these gaps and to remediate these upon their return. Trust that your child has the ability to entertain themselves, to learn and to explore and to play. They may even be able to help their parents remember how to do this too. So saying this, I would really encourage families with 2 or more caregivers to make time to check in together about how things are going. Communicate about what's working well and what needs tweaking or changing completely. Can you also help your children to have voice to how they think things are going? Do they have any suggestions or concerns or unspoken worries? Do they have any goals or things they're looking forward to? And in saying this, perhaps a weekly check-in could be helpful to make sure everyone is able to have a say about what they need, about what's working and what's not working so well.
Thank you. And what do you think some of the positives that you have been hearing from families during this extended circuit breaker that we are going through?
So one common thing that I've been hearing from families and from children is that they're really increasing their capacity for patience. They're finding ways to be more helpful and kind and patient in their families. They're also finding out their siblings are pretty great. And some little things, they love seeing into their teachers' homes. They love learning a bit more about them. I've heard stories about people teaching their children the joys of the handball, games they used to play when they were children, or time just watching clouds go by and seeing the shapes they can make. Some families are bringing children back into this very ancient practice of being a co-worker, helping to prepare meals, learning how to clean a bathroom, do a round of laundry, wash the dishes. Some other unexpected consequences for parents is that they've also been able to notice how their children learn. Some have expressed that they're now more understanding about how their child approaches work or areas that they need additional support. Or perhaps this slower pace means that children and adults together can become researchers, and they can follow a line of inquiry or interest that might have been missed in this regular business of the school day and the extracurricular activities.
Well, this has certainly been a very useful interview with vast expertise that you have actually given us this afternoon. I'm very sure the parents are going to take lots of tips from what you have just suggested and apply in their own homes and maybe give us some feedback afterwards. Well, I thank you so very much, Veronica, for joining us today. And we all hope to come out of these difficult times with much more resilience and hopefully stronger. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.